Hi, I'm Peter Jones, Chartered Surveyor, author and property investor, and in this short series of videos we're thinking about where to find our property deals. And in this video I want to think about commercial conversions. Before I tell you where to find them though, I'm often asked the question, why would I want to do commercial conversions? These sound like big deals, they sound like hard work. But the reality is that it's all about scaling, and it doesn't necessarily mean that just because they're bigger deals that they are going to be harder work, or that they're going to be more effort, or that they're going to be more hassle than doing a smaller deal. Because if you think of it this way, if you're going to buy a buy-to-let, you've still got to deal with the solicitor, you've still got to deal with the mortgage broker, you've still got to sign the paperwork, you've still got to deal with agents. In fact, you're doing all the kind of stuff which you'd be doing if you were doing commercial conversions, but the difference is that with a commercial conversion, when you do the deal, potentially your profit is going to have more noughts on the end, but it's probably going to take the same amount of time and the same amount of effort. So scalability is a massive advantage of commercial conversions. Another big advantage of commercial conversions is that at the moment the government are encouraging us to do them. Why? Because there's a housing shortage in this country, and one of the ways that the government feel that perhaps more homes can be provided is if obsolescent and redundant commercial buildings are turned into residential. So they've loosened up the planning. It's much easier to get planning to do these now than it was a few years ago, so that's another big advantage. There's also tax advantages for doing commercial conversions. You can claim capital allowances, and depending upon how you structure your deal and depending upon your accountant's advice, you may find that your capital allowances, if you're doing a big enough deal, could eradicate your income tax and all your other income for years to come, so that's got to be worth thinking about. So there's a lot of good reasons for doing commercial conversions. The main reason though is that they are chunky, bigger deals, and so you're going to make more money for the same effort. Because for example, if you turn an office building into, say, I don't know, 4 apartments, which is what I'm doing with my current project, I'm going to make about £170,000 profit when I sell the apartments. That's a nice chunk of money to have falling into your bank account. So if you want to do something which is going to sort of change your life and bring cash flow to your property business, this could be a way of doing it. So where are you going to find your commercial conversion properties? Well, anywhere is the short answer to that. Any area where there's commercial properties. The thing you need to be looking for is properties obviously at the right price, where the figures stack up, but also properties which are potentially obsolescent, because tastes and fashions and technology changes all the time, and so what we need our commercial properties to do changes all the time. In fact, actually at the time of recording this, Debenhams have just announced that they're in big trouble. I don't know if you remember, House of Fraser recently announced that they're in big trouble. All sorts of retailers have been disappearing from the high streets, and so at the moment there's plenty of, for example, retail property which can be converted, and certain classes of retail can be converted under planning laws at the moment using prior approval, permitted development, into residential. Offices as well. Offices, you just think about what's happening at the moment. So many more people are working from home, and many companies are adopting hot desking, where perhaps employees just go in 1 or 2 days a week and share facilities with other members of staff, meaning that a lot of companies don't need such big office premises, which means there's plenty of spare office buildings which are knocking around, which could be turned into residential. Technology and fashions change all the time. I remember back in the 80s when computers were first coming in, and many office buildings were obsolete because they weren't capable of accommodating computers. The occupiers wanted to have raised floors for the cabling, they wanted to have air conditioning to keep the premises cool, for example. A lot of buildings couldn't accommodate that, and they were turned into residential. The same thing is happening today. Things move on. So there's plenty of properties out there. How are you going to find them? Well, I'd start with your local agents. Your local agents are your best bet. Why? Because if you're just starting, you probably haven't got an awful lot of credibility. When you've done a couple of deals though, by the way, the fact you haven't got any credibility doesn't mean you can't do it. With the right guidance and help, everything is possible, and there's nothing particularly complicated about commercial conversions. They're obviously bigger deals, so there's a slightly higher risk element, but if you get the right training, then that shouldn't be a problem. But I would start with the local agents. Local agents will be more amenable, they're more likely to be able to help you. When you've done a couple of deals with your local agents, you can then sort of go up the food chain and start talking to larger national agents. You can also go online. There's various sites online for search, or if you search for commercial property, you'll find properties online. Or you can even go to Rightmove, which has got a commercial tab. All sorts of places you can find them. So I hope you found that helpful. By the way, if you want to find out how I started my portfolio, and if you'd like to do the same, if you'd like to copy my plan as it were, then just go over to my website, www.propertyteacher.co.uk, click on Learning with Peter, and you can invest in yourself by purchasing a copy of my ebook, The Successful Property Investor's Strategy Workshop, which basically takes you through the process that I used, starting with none of my own money to buying £2 million worth of properties over a 4-year period, really not knowing what I was doing, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. So I will show you everything I did right, I'll show you everything that I did wrong so that you can avoid all the mistakes I made, and you can copy my plan. And by the way, do you have to stop at 2 million? Well, of course not, and I didn't stop there. I've carried on expanding the portfolio since as well. So head over to my website, you'll find that a great resource and it'll be very helpful. Until next time, here's to successful property investing.